Hello and welcome. Chris from Missouri here, bringing you another video about vintage baseball cards. In this video, I'm going to show you plenty of cards, but the reason I'm doing this video is to mark the day that I'm saying that I'm getting back to the basics of my collecting, getting back to where I once was and felt comfortable with. And I tell you, I've deviated from that a little bit, but I've enjoyed every minute of it. But I think I'm becoming a collector that I didn't start out to be, and I don't need to be. But anyway, kind of here's the story about it. I'm deviating from what my plans are. And when I was a college teacher, and I say teacher because I'm too young to be a professor, and I've always said that, but I'd always teach one class every year, and it was a lifetime wellness class, and I would tell these students that I had that one of the things, if you want to be successful, you needed to get a to-do list. And I really thought that was, I really thought that was a good thing to tell those students. Make a to-do list, and when you do that to-do list, put the hardest thing to do that day on top of the list, because that way, once you get that achieved, the rest of your day is going to be a lot easier. That way you don't fret and worry about something that you don't need to be worried about. And I tell that to coaches too. When you do a practice, you make a plan and then you stick to your plan, and I always call it make a plan and then work your plan. And I've done that with my card collecting, but I've kind of deviated from that, and it's pretty easy to do. And part of it's because I'm having fun. I'm doing. You guys get tired of me hearing this, but I do a video called Showcase Showdown on Baseball Collectors channel. And again, I say it all the time. It's my favorite hour of YouTube during the week. And it would be my favorite hour if somebody else was doing it with Mike. But we're playing this competition, and the grade matters. And I have a lot of cards. I have a lot of graded cards. And I used to, when I first got on here, if somebody would ask me what kind of collector I was and what did I do, I would say I go after a quantity of quality. And what I mean by that is I preferred getting a lesser graded card that looked really, really good than in maybe three or four of those kind of cards, instead of just one card that looked really good but was graded higher. And some of the old cards, I don't want them to be graded higher. One, I wouldn't be able to afford them if I had them. And two, it looks more real if they have a little wear and tear to it. Because listen, I played with my cards when I was little, and my cards that I send off to be graded, you can tell have been played with, and the grades that I get back are a little lower. But I spent a good week or two this past 2 weeks going after cards that I already had in higher grade, and the reason I did that is because those cards are on our magical wheel on Showcase Showdown, and it's a competition there, and I love it, and I think Mike loves it, and I want to have a better representation when I do that show. But listen, I'm not going to stop doing that, but I'm going to stop doing that. If there's, I'm not going to go after any cards that I already have. Like I just showed on a recent video that I picked up another 1980 Joe Morgan. And the reason I did that is because I had a really low grade on one, and now I have a higher grade. So when we do that Showcase Showdown, I'll be well represented. But I'm going to get back to what I was doing, and I grade a lot of cards. And I still have, I go in my closet and I get out cards and I send them off to be graded. Now, I would love to, I got about 2,000 more to send off, I think, maybe even a little bit more than that. And I've broken them down, but I can't send 2,000 cards off at one time to be graded, because that costs a lot of money. You're talking a lot of money. And so what I try to do is I try to send off like 20 to 25 at a time, because it doesn't hurt near as bad when I send them off. Eventually, I'm going to have 2,500 more cards graded out of my collection. But like what I'm going to do is like what I was doing for the last few years. I was sending off cards because I set up at card shows, and I was sending off cards that I would be able to sell, calling it my inventory. And it's cards like this, it's these kind of cards, and they're I want to be known as the vintage dealer there, and these are like Cardinals and Royals cards. Let me turn this around a little bit. Mainly these are Cardinals and Royals cards, but every once in a while there's some cards that I think will sell okay when I get them graded. Now I have most all of these cards graded already, but this is part of my inventory for shows. And I want these to be able to put out to sell in my showcases. And, it makes my showcases look good. I have cards that people want. Some of them are lower grade, but they're still worth more than what it costs to get me graded. And so one time I will send those cards off. And I'll send them off, and they'll come back in about 3 weeks or so, 4 weeks, because I send them through SGC, and they're ready for my card shows. And then the next time I send off cards, when I get notified that those are on my way back, then I will send off these cards here. And what these cards are, for instance, my run cards that I'm going to keep, that I'm trying to complete a Tony or a Carlton Fisk run. So here's all my Carlton Fisk cards that are backwards, but I'll send those off, and I'll along with, the Tony Perez stuff and the Jim Palmer stuff. And when I get all these back, I will have finished the Tony Perez run, Carlton Fisk run, and Jim Palmer run. And I'm being very patient that way. And then once I get those back, I'll send off 25 more cards for inventory so I'll get ready for the show. Because when I sell those cards at the shows, it pays for my SGC submission for cards that I want to keep. And I love doing it like that. Now, that part has worked out well for me. Let me repeat that for you. I get cards out for inventory. When those are on their way back, I send cards out to get graded so I can keep in my personal collection. I use the money that I sell in my inventory to pay for the cards that I get back and or any additional cards that I want to buy. Now here lately, I've been selling some cards, but not as much because I've been going after these runs for Hall of Famers. Now I'm going to show you some cards that I got back from the SGC reveal, and maybe a couple of them that I just put out. So here we go. So this is a Mike Sweeney card. Now, some of you might ask, why in the heck do I have a Mike Sweeney card, and why did I want to get it graded? Well, I didn't grade that card. I bought that card, and that card cost me $8. But I'm going to use that card in a future story on my channel. And yes, I will spend $8 so I can be able to tell a story. Another card that I purchased is this Ralph Kiner Redbacks. Now, I am trying to get all the Hall of Famers in the red and the blue backs. Now, here's this Joe Morgan that I just got, that I just bought, and it's in an 8, and this one's in a 6.5. Now, those are just for my runs and to help me compete against Baseball Collector. And hopefully when Joe Morgan comes up, well, I will do quite well. So I was at a trade night on four collectors trade night, and I bought 4 raw George Brett's. Now, I know these are lower grade, and I knew they were lower grade when I bought them, but I am a George Brett fan, and I love having George Brett in my cases at shows. So young Royals fans, if they're out there, can come and purchase a less expensive George Brett from me. Now, I love that, and I love being, and I won't deviate from the price of these unless I'm dealing with a younger fan. Now here's a nicer one in a 5, but we kind of figured when we made this deal what they were all like. Now, I'm pretty excited about this SGC reveal because this is more like my stuff. And this is a Bob Feller 54 Bowman and a 2.5. Whitey Ford Bowman and 2.5. I'm trying to get all those Hall of Famers as well in that set, and they'll still work well for my player run. Now, like I told you earlier, I'm after these 51 Redbacks Hall of Famers, and that's Duke Snider. How about this one? Monty Irvin. And this one, Gil Hodges. I love those cards. They're a little bit different. That's being influenced right there from John Mangini and Rick Oddball cards and Dave Blue Jacket 66 and Orlando, A Collector's Dream. Now, I'm a big Ralph Kiner fan, and I sent that off, and it got a 4. That's a 1950. Now here's a Joe Gordon. I actually sent that off for a buddy of mine to maybe possibly get a higher grade. It did not come back as high as what he was looking for, so I'm going to keep it in my collection. Now here's another Ralph Kiner, a 1949 Bowman. Look how pretty that is. Here's a Pee Wee Reese in a 49. I'm getting closer to finishing that set of Hall of Famers. Check out the 49 Bowmans. They're really nice looking cards. And here's a Bobby Doerr. And here's a George Kell. Now I bought these next 2 cards, trade night. This one was off of Jake, Legends Never Die. And it's a double play card. And this is Red Ruffing and Joe Gordon, 2 Hall of Famers. Another card. This is Ernie Lombardi, Hall of Famer. And I don't have very many Ernie Lombardi cards. And I'm a Cincinnati Reds fan, and he was a great catcher for the Cincinnati Reds. Now, a couple of cards that I've sent off are these Play Ball, 1940 Play Ball. Here is a Big Poison Wainer, Paul Wainer. And Little Poison, Lloyd Wainer. Love those play ball cards. Mine are not in high grade, but that matters to me none. I am pretty excited to get that. And last but not least, High Pockets Kelly. Now, picking up those lower graded cards or grading those lower, not so good looking cards, well, that's wrong. That's wrong. They are good looking. They're good looking to me, but knowing that they're going to get a low grade, I don't care. I want to get them slabbed, and that way they're not going to get worse. And also, I'll repeat sometime why I slab my cards. But I'm exclaiming. I'm right now. I'm putting a flag down in the sand saying I'm getting back to where I was, going after quantity of quality, or grading more of my cards, caring not what the grades are going to be. Now, I'm not I'm not trying to be silly here and tell you that if I don't get a higher grade that I'm not going to be excited and brag about it. But what I'm telling you right now is I need to get back to enjoying these cards the way I was, and I am. But this is going to allow me to grade and or pick up more and more cards, and I just I don't know. I love collecting cards. I love collecting cards, and I love to show cards. And listen, guys, it's just a hobby. Collect what you like.